We should.
Right. Well, let's. There's always a little tiny delay. There he is. He pops up in the end.
Uh,
Before, yeah. Before we get into the news, guys, if you would be so kind as to just tap that little like button for us, subscribe if you're new, and if you've got any questions, of course, let us know in the comments. I did forget to say, and it's my fault because I haven't got my show notes up. This show is very much aimed at the casual gamer, busy people, people that love to game, but life gets in the way. So if that's you, or if you're new to Stadia, indeed, welcome. You're more than welcome. This is the show for you. Relaxed, chilled out. Let's just take it nice and slow. Oh yes, Radio FM. So we start the news with, we had the Fantastic Four pro games dropped this week for us to claim. They were Shapes and Beats, Kona, Strange Brigade, and Metro Exodus 2033 Redux. I bet you claimed them first, didn't you? I bet you were the first one on that morning claiming them.
oh yeah, I was well in there, nice and early, soon as it was. Bang, 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 bang. Got all of them. And I have to say, I have played all of them, and they are all nice and varied, so there should be something there for everybody.
Yeah, well, I've played. I'd already played Metro 23 anyway back in the day, and I can't wait to play it again on Stadia. And I'm holding back on is it Shapes and Beats, only because I want to play it with my girls. That's the kind of game I know they're going to love. So I'll be doing some of that later today, hopefully. But I did jump in on Kona, and I have also had a crack at Strange Brigade, which we'll talk more about a little later. But every single one of them, absolutely up my street. There's a great mix there, something for everybody, I think.
Yeah, you talked about just Shapes and Beats. I had a good play with that yesterday. What I really like about it is if you like the look of it and you're actually finding it a bit tough, they actually do have a mode and they don't make you feel guilty for it at all. If you just want to play the story and just get good at it, it's called casual mode.
Yeah.
So you can actually drop it down so you can actually experience things a bit more, because the game is a bit difficult. I didn't even know this, and you find out this after the first couple of levels, so it's not like a big spoiler or anything. There is boss battles in the game. So yeah, it is actually a lot more difficult than it looks, but it is really, really good fun.
Oh, great. No, well, casual is my favourite word that begins with C, Duncan, and just long enough to enjoy it as well. So I'll look forward to doing that. So Shapes and Beats, choose the casual mode, and you'll enjoy the beats and the shapes without necessarily that frustration of not being able to get through that. Maybe that'll be a future Rokk review game on that basis then. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Moving on to the next news item. Now, this is literally hot off the last couple of days' press, isn't it? I'm just going to play this. This is our friends over at Stadia Source, Avery, and CrowdPlay. CrowdPlay, which we've talked about in the past, and we covered off in one of the Ask Duncan sessions, I think. So it got its first live outing in the real wide world this week. In fact, yesterday, I believe.
Yep, it was last night for us. It was pretty late on with me and probably you now. We like getting our piper and slippers on at about 10 o'clock at night. So it started streaming off some CrowdPlay. Again, we've actually got some more info on that as it came out, but props to Stadia Source for getting the info out there to the wider community there.
Absolutely.
It looks like it's only going to be via PC for the time being.
Okay.
So if you're watching this on your mobile phone, you won't be able to go on to it. It's in the FAQ, which is on Stadia themselves. But this is a really big thing, which is going to probably lead into more things, which we're probably going to talk about on Wednesday night when we'll go for a bit more deeper dive.
Yep.
Because
Rokk around the clock, 9 p.m.
Rokk around the clock, 9 p.m. UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, and 1 p.m. Pacific.
How advanced of you. How very cosmopolitan.
There we go. There's that done.
Yeah.
But CrowdPlay is going to allow anybody who is watching a streamer on PC at this moment in time, if they have enabled the feature, to just join them in game in a virtual queue. The way we described it before, and it was basically like it was last night, is you're putting your 20p or 10p up on the console or in the arcades of old,
Yeah.
and you're in the queue waiting to go back on. The great thing about what these streamers who are going to be doing it, they're giving out copies of like Mortal Kombat to actually join them with it. So it is worth checking them out because you might actually get a copy of Mortal Kombat as well. So
it's now I don't know if you're watching the video today. Obviously, this goes out on podcast as well on all your favorite podcast platforms later today. But for those of you that aren't seeing it, what we saw is we're seeing a video of Avery, who's one of the hosts of the StadiaSource.com website and also their content, and he's essentially taking part in this live CrowdPlay. I guess it's an experiment. It's interesting to see how it works. And what he actually did was he registered to get into the queue. And then there was a button that was telling him that he had to wait for a little bit longer, and where he was in the queue. So he was, one of three, and a sort of rough estimate of how long it was going to take. And then it told him, right, you're in, go. And he pressed the button, and it literally whizzed through all the options within the game. The game they're playing is Mortal Kombat, and they whizzed through all the options until he was finally in the choice of character that he wanted to play, which is the way that you play Mortal Kombat. And then he was in there with Juggernaut, who is the host streamer. And as Duncan said, that's only at the moment something that you can do via anything other than a Chromecast, so on mobile or PC presumably, simply because it requires you to touch buttons and things. And I guess YouTube hasn't quite been configured for controllers as yet. But so he was straight in there, and he said himself it was flawless. It was a seamless process. He only gets the one game. He gets defeated. But then you kind of expect the host streamer to be pretty good. And then it's on to the next one in the queue. Impressive stuff. So that's part of this mix of community functionality that Stadia's bringing to YouTube for us to play with them in the future.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting. This is more like geeky sort of stuff, and it's interesting that it actually went with Mortal Kombat. For me, that brings back the feel of just the 80s and 90s, just arcades. Just arcades, and you're queuing up to get into it. But the reach for this is going to be massive going forward. Just like when we do our Rock Stars at night on a Friday night. We'll make that a lot easier. It's going to be there, ready to go, and we don't have to worry about dropping the links into the chat. One thing to notice as well, it seems to be, from my investigations there, that it is only going to be US for the time being. It's on a regional basis.
Okay.
And can I give props to Jam here? Because you know how... you know what he's like. He looks at all the code. Basically, everything what he has dug out about this CrowdPlay stuff was absolutely bang on the money, and it's how it has been implemented. So absolutely check out Gem if you want to get into the really nitty gritty sort of things. But we're not.
That's right. We're massive fans of Gem, and Gem knows it. But we tend to cover the more detailed stuff on our Wednesday show. But certainly, he is the guide to follow if you want to know, have a fairly good and accurate view of what's coming up on our favourite platform. Great. So next up on the old news is that this is a big one actually, that Stadia is now available to play on any Android device on mobile network, which they call it an experiment because, to be fair to them, your experience is going to depend a lot on so many factors: your phone, where you live, whether or not you've got data cap on your account, and so on and so forth. So, it is a bit of an experiment, but it's a massive step forward for that mantra of Stadia being available to play anywhere.
Yeah, it is a massive step forward. getting into the nitty gritty, I'm actually really happy how Google is actually calling these things now. It's experiments or betas now. It's just to set the expectations right. That's just going back to our last news. CrowdPlay is a beta. They're just learning how to, or not learning, they're just experimenting to make everything right. So when they say experimenting or beta, that means it's not 100% there. They're still working on it. So with this is going to be a big feature going forward for everybody. It is only Android, still no news on iOS support for Stadia to play. But from what I've seen, it all depends on your mobile network. If you've got a good mobile network and you've got a good signal, it seems to be working pretty well. People are saying it's probably better than xCloud over mobile as well. And This is the first implementation of it. So we just need to give it some time. There's going to be kinks. There's going to be issues.
Yeah.
That's why it's under experimentation, and that's why all the other phones are under experimentation as well, because they're not fully supported as yet. So this is something which is just getting tried out, and it is worth trying out if you've got it. Just remember, Stadia will eat through your data cap if you've got a data cap on mobile.
Yeah.
I know many of us over here in the UK, we don't have data caps, but mobile phones are notorious for having data caps in other places, so just be warned with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and we've mentioned before about how much data you use for if you're using it at home, and it's true to say that America is, excuse me, one of the countries that still has to catch up in terms of unlimited data on a kind of all-pervasive setup, which we have in the UK now, most of Europe, but data on mobile is different, and it's still the case that I think the majority of people have some level of a cap. What you won't find is, I doubt, for most people, you'll suddenly get billed, but you may find that all of a sudden everything just grinds to a halt. So it's worth looking into that. They do tell you how much data you're likely to burn through, depending on the speed that you choose or the quality that you choose. But initially, this is fixed. I think I'm right at saying, Duncan, at 480p, which is enough for a mobile device, to be fair. You wouldn't want to share that to your television, so that wouldn't be. And to be fair, there are other options to do that, so why would you want to do that anyway, unlike some of the other cloud platforms which currently only exist on mobile, in which case you may want to do that. So don't forget your other options are 1080p and 4K, and we covered off the kind of P's and the K's a bit more, I think, last week. So go back and have a look at that show if that's confused you in any way, shape or form. It's not intended to. But 480p on your phone, and it does mean that eyesight, permitting, I do need the old specs for close-up work. You can literally take your Android device and play it anywhere you like. I know people are going to say, what about my Apple? What about my iPad? What about my iPhone? We know that Google is committed to bringing it to those devices, but for various reasons, and we don't know exactly why, but probably technical. We're not seeing it at the moment, but the rumours are that it'll probably be part of the rollout of the new iPhones, which I think I heard in the week have just been delayed a month, so be towards the end of the year either way. So look forward to that and hope. So that's good news, really exciting if you're into your mobile gaming. You can now pretty much play Stadia anywhere.
Just to jump in quickly there, Rokk, just to confirm what you said, the iPhones have been pushed back a month or so because of the current situation. There's a lot of things doing that. Just a wee quick news article here was that Football Manager has been pushed back for similar reasons, and that looks like that's coming to Stadia again this year. So
yeah, and Destiny 2 has been put back as well. Best intentions, but it's probably better that they do put these things back rather than rush them through and then have people feel left out that they didn't get the phone or that the software's not working as it should do. So such is life. It's where we are, unfortunately. So the next item in our little bag of Sunday news is that EA has reconfirmed its integration with Stadia. Now, this is an interesting choice of word, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I picked up, integrating their games into Stadia. And it was mentioned just before they were talking about EA Access going to Steam. I'm going to just leave that there and let people read their own conclusions into that. However, I'm just going to say this is really good news. I think it's just saying EA is still coming don't be worrying. I think the games are going to be a bit later for EA as they test the water with Stadia. But EA games are coming. And there's a big important thing here as well. It's the following sentence as well, is that they're expanding crossplay and to more platforms, so that should help Stadia going forward. So if and when we get FIFA, or sorry, when we get FIFA,
yeah, when it's definitely happening.
When we get FIFA and Madden onto the system, touch wood, we are going to get crossplay with that as well. Crossplay, we've touched on one of our shows before. Or that was last week's big topic, wasn't it? The crossplay.
Yeah, crossplay was. Yeah.
It is. There's more positives with that than there's negatives. So I'm hoping basically every sort of game going with multiplayer gets the crossplay.
Yeah, and there's some great games obviously in their catalogue. And the fact that they're looking to widen it out, integrating Stadia into their development cycle, because that's how I read it, means that moving forward, hopefully we'll see all of their new titles making their way across, which of course is what we'd all like to see. Because their stuff's quality. So that's really good news. That's exciting. And
it's quality and it's mainstream. That's what everybody wants. Their games, you may not like the company, which a lot of people don't, but the games are extremely influential and people buy them year in, year out. And getting EA on the Stadia is going to be massive. And I can't wait for the games to come.
Yeah, and particularly sports titles. I mean, that's really their corner, isn't it? They've Madden and FIFA and other sports that I'm not into. They really do pour a load of cash. Are they the PGA golf guys as well, or is that?
That's 2K. They used to be PGA. They used to do Tiger Woods golf. Then it was Rory McIlroy. It's PGA 2K21, which I think we're going to be touching on shortly anyway. But it used to be the golf game, but it's going to be more 2K.
Yeah, fantastic. So looking forward to that. In terms of other things that I know a load of people are looking forward to, Marvel Avengers has been confirmed now as coming to Stadia day and date on September the 4th. So that literally means, because it's not a term that is wholly recognised outside of gaming, but literally means that we will get it the same day and the same date as everybody else in every other platform, essentially.
Yeah, this is really big news. This is it's not really big news. It's really, really positive news is a better way of saying it. It's just reconfirmation that it's coming down to it. Marvel Avengers is going to be a big title. I've watched a couple of the trailers, and the war tables are called, where they're going to deep dives about it, and it is my sort of game. Just think Anthem or Destiny 2, but Avengers. So it is really going to be really good going forward, and I can't wait to get into that game. The day and date thing, there has been a little disturbance this week with Destroy All Humans, which everybody thought was coming day and date. The Stadia didn't happen, so I think they've got this out and said, this is 100% coming now.
Okay.
Because I think this is why this is a bit more of a news story than it should be, because of Destroy All Humans.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, I'm the same as you. I'm not massively into the whole Marvel thing, the whole superhero thing, but I did watch the most recent event for this game, and it does look amazing. I've been playing. Funnily enough, not a Stadia game, a lot over this weekend, which is a brand new title coming in the end of August from Amazon Games, called New World, which is only available on PC. I've been trialing that, doing some tests with them, and that's very much kind of open world RPG, task driven. Events on a daily basis, raids on a weekly basis. So, similar to your Destinies and your Divisions and they're very much the games that I love the most. Task-driven games where there's always something to do and go off and just chill out and enjoy stuff. So but the graphics on this look stunning. Obviously, it's got a massive backstory there's most people into gaming probably are fully into the whole Marvel universe. So I can see this being absolutely huge success for them.
Yep, it will be. Jen just asked a question in the chat there. Is Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers?
Miles Morales?
Yes. And I will say, yes, he is going to Marvel's Avengers, but you'll only be able to play it in one place. Can you guess where that is?
Would that be PlayStation, Duncan?
That would be PlayStation 4. That has been at group this morning when we were just coming on air. That PlayStation 4 will be having the exclusive rights. There was a listing put up, and now it has been taken down that Spider-Man is going to the Avengers, but it appears to be a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So no, we're sorry about that.
And to be honest,
again.
Yeah, and there's enough Marvel to go around. Let's be honest. It's there's Marvel heroes everywhere. Brilliant. So and Kelly, your partner in crime, she's looking forward to Avengers in the chat there. I'm sure most people will be. Happy Cloud Gamer, our friend from Norway, he can't wait to play Avengers as well. I think it's going to be a massive success, and I'm really pleased that it's going to be available for Stadia. So that's great news.
What I like about it as well, during these word tables and whatnot, it's another perfect game for Stadia. We've talked about Stadia having games you can just dip into for 5 minutes or dip in for like 2 or 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And they have got missions. They've already said that missions will take 5 minutes. And you know they're going to take 5 minutes. And there's some raids, I think, are going to be, which is the big events in games at the end, basically end level sort of thing, which are going to take over 2 hours to complete. So
not for the casual gamer then.
not for the complete casual gamer, right. But the 5 minutes jump in, jump out, absolutely perfect.
I think this whole games as a service, which is the kind of phraseology that's used, a bit like software as a service, where you sort of subscribe to it. What you're seeing is that there's a sort of one-off payment, and then either you get all of the events and all the content for maybe the whole season, which typically can be anywhere between a quarter and a year. And then when the next season comes along, you typically pay a bit more, rather than the sort of traditional subscription basis of a software as a service, which arguably is what Stadia is. Stadia is kind of a console as a service, really, isn't it? If you think about it. I've never used that term before, but it really is in a sense. So I can very much see that. And of course, as well, and we do tend to forget this because they're very quiet about it, but we do know from little snippets that we've received over the months that Google Stadia Games and Entertainment are working diligently behind the scenes on a massive multiplayer RPG, huge open world game as a service type title as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yep, it will be. And Stadia is the perfect platform for games as a service because you can just keep on adding content and you don't have to worry about the storage space. You can just expand it, keep expanding it all out as much as you want and not having to worry.
No, it's perfect for that because they do tend to get massive over time. Even titles that aren't like this, like Call of Duty, where they keep rolling out updates and content and people's hard drives are getting full to the brim in the more traditional console land. So it makes a heap of sense to go down that road. So Duncan, thank you for that. We've got just a couple of seconds to have a little think. I know there's a lot coming up this month. We've just literally found our way inside August. I wondered if you wanted to bring the guys up to speed on what games, because there are a few that are coming up this month.
And I probably forgot some of these here. I've got most of them wrote down here, so if I've missed any out, I'm sorry. Basically, we now see Stadia beginning to start to wrap up, ram up even. Well, I can't speak here. It's too early in the morning.
Is he in the chat? Wrap up.
Ramp up the games coming out on Stadia. And this month alone, this is without any shadow drops. Where shadow drops are games just going onto the service without any announcements. So I still believe we're going to get some of them.
Yep.
coming out this month, we have Rokk. That is coming out on Tuesday, which is a puzzle game, a first-person puzzle game. If you know anything about Portal, or a game which has actually been on Stadia already, the Turing test is going to be something along them lines. That's coming out on Tuesday to Stadia. We also have Rock of Ages 3 coming to Stadia, and that's coming as a pro game on the 14th of August. We have the aforementioned PGA Tour that is coming out this month as well, and two games we know are coming out this month or should be coming out this month, and they are semi-Stadia exclusives, are Baldur's Gate 3 and Serious Sam 4.
Yes.
A lot of people may have played Serious Sam on the Serious Sam collection, as that was a pro game a couple of months ago, or last month it was still a pro game, and it is a really, really fun game, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to that, and the amount of characters you're going to have on screen is going to be ridiculous. They've actually showed that all. It's going to be mad. Baldur's Gate 3 is a PC game from a franchise which is well loved. This could be the title to show off a lot of these features, what we were talking about earlier, like the CrowdPlay. But Baldur's Gate 3 is also going to be bringing in crowd choice. Crowd choice means if you're watching someone stream, so you're watching Rokk stream Baldur's Gate 3, and it says, do you want to go to the top dungeon, or do you want, or there's two pieces of equipment, sorry, it'd be better to two pieces of equipment. Do you want them to use the sword, or do you want them to use the axe? And the folks put into the chat, and you just have to say yes, which one you want them to go for. So Baldur's Gate 3 is bringing that sort of stuff in. That's going to be especially useful in Baldur's Gate when there's going to be dialogue choices. So if you're watching or you're playing along and you're seeing your streamer and it says, do you want to do something good, do something indifferent, or do something bad, you can actually get the streamer to choose, and your vote is actually cast, and whatever one is voted for, that's what happens.
Wow.
So that is going to be the game to watch, to maybe see where Stadia is going in the future and how all these features are going to be actually tied in.
Fantastic. So there's a huge amount to look forward to. I've just treated the chat to watching me claim a load of games that I haven't claimed on my alt account, which my daughter uses actually. So there you go. Make sure you go and do that if you've got your pro subscription. Don't forget you get some time to claim them, but they do tend to rotate out sometimes, so it's worth getting in there quick and not losing out on anything.